Chapter 35 Worship Various Kinds. Hinduism is composed of several forms of worship. There is a difference between worship and reverence or veneration. The former means placing concrete faith and completely submitting ourselves to a supreme power. The latter means showing respect. These different forms of Hinduism are the mystical symbols which lead us in the path of spirituality. These forms include trees, animals, mountains, rivers, the sun, moon, the planets, and other creations of nature. The Himalayas is worshipped as the abode of Lord Shiva. Water is worshipped in the form of river Ganges and other rivers. If we visit a Krishna temple, we find that a Tulasi plant is worshipped. In a Shiva temple, we find a Bilwa tree, etc. Therefore, in most temples, a tree is also worshipped along with the main deity. In the earlier days, the kings also got wells dug near the temples to remove water scarcity, and there were chaul trees where free food was distributed to the people. So there was sharing, worship, and plenty everywhere. The worship of God through these various forms is called Sakara Upasana, where God is represented in several forms. The Nirakara Upasana, on the other hand, is worship of the formless God or the God who has no form. This is similar to the way of worship of Muslims, Protestants, and several other religions of the world. In Nirakara Upasana also, God is considered as ever full and worshipped in the formless state. This kind of worship can be found in the Aryan culture. The Dravidian culture, however, created Agama. The Vedas and the Upanishads do not talk about the form of God, whereas the Agamic scripture contains a detailed description on how the temples should be constructed and of the various deities. It is difficult for man to conceive and worship a formless God. To overcome this difficulty, he created various deities as the symbols of God, thereby reducing him to a miniature level in a temple or hall. The Aryans worshipped fire as their main god. In Greece also, fire is worshipped and it is represented by the sun, which they call Isa. The sun is the focal point around which all the planets revolve. It is the center around which the various forms and the world exist. It is all-powerful and purifies everything and everyone. Therefore, the sun around which nature and its various forms exist is worshipped as the first god. The sun is also that which creates ego and intellect in every individual. In other words, the power of identity, the power through which ego works, is the sun in us. The moon reflects the sun and shows the way to the world at night in the form of light. The sun is a representation of the intellect, whereas the moon represents the mind. It is due to this that the mind has direct connection with the ascendants and descendants of moon. For example, lunatics tend to become hysterical or aggressive during full moon days due to the influence of the moon. The word lunatic itself signifies the influence of the lunar movements. Moon is called Soma and Somanatha or Sa Uma Natha, which means he who is the husband of Uma or goddess Parvati or Shakti. Maya represents this Shakti. This Maya or illusion can be removed by worshipping Shakti. The worship of Shakti is known as Sri Vidya Upasana, which means adoration of the mother. The mind, moon, Maya, Shakti are all forms of this mother, who is the power behind creation. If there is a sea, then there should also be ground. If the sea is God consciousness, the ground is power consciousness. It is from this power of consciousness or the ground or earth the creation takes place, and this earth is variously known as Bhuma, Shakti or Maya. The mind therefore has to be directly attached to this power of creation. We should constantly strive to find the root of our existence, and we can attain this by submitting ourselves to the grace of God. We can then transform ourselves into the sun or the original light rather than remaining as its reflection. So, the moon or Soma, fire or Agni, and sun or Surya are the three eyes of God. Such God exists in our body as awareness. We are not an entity distinct from this, and we should try to realize and achieve this consciousness.